but joy comes in time. Don't get weary, you gotta endure, 'cause one day you'll suffer no more. So he's standing, let him give you peace, let his wisdom give you guidance. Give all your worries to him. I'm trying to tell you, 'cause I've been there, and by his grace I'm still here. 'Cause you got to hold on. Don't you get weak, you can hold on. Don't you give up, be strong. You don't have to cry, hold on. We can make it.
I know that the fire can get deep, and it can seem like every part of you is weak, but that's when he is strong. Just know it won't be long. Don't be hasty, it's a marathon.
Just hold on till he is standing.
Let him give you peace,
Let his wisdom give you guidance.
give all your worries to him. Don't get weary, 'cause I've been there, and by his grace I'm still here. 'Cause you got to
Hold on,
don't you get weak, you can
hold on.
you're gonna make it.
Be strong,
You don't have to cry.
hold on. We can make it. Hold on, be strong. Hold on, be strong, yeah, yeah, yeah. 'Cause he said in his word, hold on, cast your cares upon him. Hold on, be strong. We can make it. Hold on, you can make it. Hold on, gotta believe it. Be strong, keep the faith, just hold on. Hold on, yeah, yeah, yeah. Hold on, yeah. Be strong, we can make it.
Ain't no ghetto without us. Revelation 2:9. Tell them.
Yeah, all my brothers, yeah, we rich shock. We got the truth, we come from rich stock. That's in my tribe, I never flip-flop. Thy kingdom come, now watch it TikTok. We got this truth and now we rich up. We headed back up to the tip top. Menorah golden, watch it drip drop. We in the hood, but now we rich up, yeah.
My folks stayed in the Hoovers. I was born in the trades. I was raised in the hundreds, but I ain't never joined the gang. Affiliated, I was with it, I ain't played no games. Wasn't banging, but I had to show I ain't no lame. Copperworth Entertainment, yeah, I did my thing. Until I woke up to this truth and found out we still slaves. Niggas killing over colors, time to rise up for our brothers. Time to unify our hustles, time to lead our baby mothers out to lay like Nazareth. I was raised about the gutter. For the homies, I got locked up, not a word I never uttered. So for Yasharahla, yeah, you best believe I'll die. This ain't Christianity, you best believe
Yeah,
I'll
all my
ride.
brothers, yeah, we rich shock. We got the truth, we come from rich stock. That's in my tribe, I never flip-flop. Thy kingdom come, now watch it TikTok. We got this truth and now we rich up. We headed back up to the tip top.
We rich.
Menorah golden, watch it drip drop. We in the hood, but now we rich up, yeah.
Reclining my seats, I'm looking at the stars. Not too long ago was blowing kush about the car. Always wanted fame until I found the 12 stars. But now a nigga rich, the wisdom got me hella far. Looking back on my life, this shit is so surreal. Like I came up on the lotto, how a nigga feel. Keep the law as the motto, now tell me what's the deal. Riding smooth, diamond chain, compliment the wheels. Yeah, that's how we pull up fly. If my brother's got an issue, then I bet I ride. Even if I take a loss, you can bet I try. Cause I'ma get a couple off, and that's before I
all my
die,
brothers,
nigga.
yeah, we rich shock. We got the truth, we come from rich stock. That's on my tribe, I never flip-flop. Thy kingdom come, now watch it TikTok. We got this truth and now we rich up. We headed back up to the tip top. Menorah gold and watch it drip drop. We in the hood, but now we rich up. Yeah.
It's so cold in these streets, I take the heat outside. I keep a sword like Cephas, just believe I might. Ain't an army on this earth that could see these tribes. Dressed in warlike apparel, best believe we fly. It's time to get the doctrine right, it's time to feed these sheep. What we sowing to each other, that's what we gon' reap. Shit, you niggas claim you bout that life. Some niggas banging for the set, but I'm an Israelite. He full of pride and full of shit, then I'ma cut him on sight. Haku ain't never gotta tell me twice. I'm a soldier for Christ, and Mashiach the king is not to be mocked. I love my nation, but 2/3 of y'all can still get popped. Blah.
Desire one Ariala. Yashamai. Yasharahla.
We got the truth and come from with stock. That's on my tribe, I never flip-flop. For kingdom come, now watch it TikTok. We got the truth and now we rich up. We heading back up to the TikTok. Menorah gold and watch it drip drop. We in the hood, but now we rich up. Yeah.
And y'all know what it is. Another Woolly Mane production.
At first light, right before the sunset, beheld with my own eyes. Ah, but what a blessing. It's a new moon, the first crescent. We gon' share some mirth and some gladness. Ain't nobody stressing.
Look, I was too focused on the ways of men. Had to refocus, turn my ways to him. Let's get it right, we ain't afraid of men. The kingdom is the goal, and yes, we aim to win. Our fathers watched to see the month begin. There must be light, the sea was groping, trying to make it in. Father, forgive us for the sin, cause we didn't know no better. Glad our fathers kept a record, this cannot be severed. Not the conjunction or the fool, it was in those letters. Not one jot, no one tittle, by the law we fed it. We'll probably get the kingdom faster if we work together. Glorified and it will never.
We celebrate. Yo, big ball. The real Yo, what we celebrate. And I want to take the opportunity right now to say all praise be to Yahweh, Bahasham, Hamashiach, Yahweh Shah. I'm going to say that one more time. All praise be to Yahweh, Bahasham, Hamashiach, Yahweh Shah. Hey, we bless. The spirit of one of my dear brothers, Zabak, I want to say, and we gonna do it. Check it out, this is how we gonna do it. On the count of 3, I want y'all to say, Shalam Yasharahla. 1, 2, 3, baby. New moon. It's a new moon.
And y'all know what it is. Another Woolly Mane production.
blessing. It's a new moon, the first crescent. We gon' share some mirth and some gladness. Ain't nobody stressing.
I tell my Akim Shalom as we pour around the drinks. We could look up in the sky and know exactly what he thinks. It's a new moon, a celebration. The Kaaba or the Trula that's before me is the only temptation. Tonight we do it right, so call up all the tribes to see my fifth shot like the book of Deuteronomy. Hey, these laws are part of me, and I get ruled with wicked Jews like Nehemiah. You gon' have to pardon me. Just look at what we built together. Our haters probably couldn't imagine the better successor, but all praises go to Yah, cause we don't worship men. You know that Jake's always late, let them brothers in. A holy feast, so you know we came dap it down. Menorah chains, yellow diamonds with a golden crown. Yeah, how was shy, got our hand, he ain't gon' let us drown. We get it cracking once you hear them trumpets sound.
At first light, right before the sunset, beheld with my own eyes. Ah, but what a blessing. It's a new moon, the first crescent. We gon' share some mirth and some gladness. Ain't nobody stressing.
Shabbat Shalom! Oh, what day is this?
The Lord's Passover.
This ain't even no front, man. I gotta take the opportunity to just pause for a minute. Cause just thinking about this whole thing almost make me want to get emotional. Just really meditating. All of us being here, faces that we haven't seen in person, getting the opportunity to celebrate the Passover, to celebrate the sacrifice,
Man,
of our King.
made it to
giving
another
his
year.
life for us.
Another Abib, another Passover. Woo! Selah Soul, Jazawan Ariala.
I'm so elated. I'm so glad I'm here through tribulations. We made it to another year.
It's a blessing just to see another year in the truth, and it's a blessing seeing other Israelites here too. Sitting back like it's a trip, seeing things unfurl. So many faces I don't see that fell back in the world. Call a lawyer Howard, definitely in the name of the King. Christ rule everything around me, that's the motto we sing. 12 stepping at the feet, screaming death to the beast. Full submission to the Abba as we turn to the east. Another Passover. These nations know we coming back over. I used to hear about the end, but now we that closer. Bitter herbs for them bitter days. When thinking back, I kinda feel away. I kinda miss Jake.
See, there it was. See, how long are you going to refuse to humble yourself? You know that you are up against the people, and their God is the only living God. The God of all of our forefathers originally, because we all got up off of that ark.
That's right.
How long is it going to be before you humble yourself? Read.
And let my people go, that they may serve me.
They may do what?
That they may serve me.
One more time. That they may do what?
That they may serve me.
Here at Passover. What do you think this means? It's Passover for you.
Finally had to realize I'm nothing but a servant. It ain't about
It's Passover for us.
It's about you. You was willing to lay your life on the line.
Let's find out. He said, let my people go that they may serve me. Serve Yahweh.
It's in your name. I don't care about the money, I don't care about the fame. Wear my fringes of my culture, I will never be ashamed. Carry my cross on my back, I ain't here to entertain. Whether I live or I die, I do this in your name. It's more than knowing we the chosen seed. Tell them these laws is what we need to keep. How people hear it but they still sleep. The hood, the matrix, niggas counting sheep. I tell you truth and I'm your enemy. You say shalom like you a friend of me. You swear that you ain't got no God but you got tendencies. When they don't like me,
All right. Shalom to the 12 tribes scattered abroad. Tonight I am your teacher, KANASH Yasharahla, and to my left,
Subhanallah.
Khan. Tonight is another Bible Basics. We know Tuesday, if you've been watching our channel, following our channel, Tuesday is where we get the Bible Basics. If you're new into the truth, and even if you've been in the truth for a minute, it's always good to have the Bible Basics. So tonight I'm going to be talking about sisterhood in the Israelite community, right, and overall, right? So sisterhood is something that's very important when you come into the truth. A lot of times when we come into the truth, or when women come into the truth, they don't have, they don't have a guide. They don't have no direction of what they should do, how they should be as women of the Most High. And ultimately, there's no sisterhood. So then you have sisters that come in and, they just learn it on their own, and they don't know exactly where to go, what to do, how to behave, how to act, and how to go about things. So you have a lot of sisters that when they first come in, they're zealous for the truth and everything, but when they don't have that direction, you see them start to slowly fall off and digress and, go back into the world. And I've seen this a number of times because, sisters don't have a sisterhood, or if they do have a sisterhood, that sisterhood is not knit closely, and there's a lot of drama involved in the sisterhood, so they decide to just go their way. So sisterhood is very important. And, Yahushua, Paul, he teaches how the women should be, how the older women should teach the younger women. We're going to get into it. But sisterhood is very important. And like I said, when you come into the truth, you're learning, right? Let's go to Matthew chapter 10, and let's read verse 5. So you got to understand, it's a process. It's not easy. Yahushua came on the scene. He came to fix a broken nation, right? We're a nation of broken people. And the Most High gave us a chance through Yahushua to give us some clarity, give us some understanding, and ultimately bring back the nation, because there's pitfalls that we fell in, and this is how we ended up, right? So get Matthew chapter 10, and let's read verse 5.
Matthew 10 and 5. These 12 Jesus sent forth and commanded them, saying, Go not into the way of the Gentiles, and into any of the city of the Samaritans enter ye not, but go rather to the lost sheep of the house of Israel.
Right. The Most High said, go to the lost sheep of the house of Israel, because truly we are lost, and we have lost our ways, and we have been discontinued from our heritage, right? Discontinued from our culture, in which the Most High gave us, which Jeremiah says. So we don't have no direction in our nation. We don't have no direction for the sisterhood when we first come in, and So let's go to Isaiah chapter 3, and let's read verse 12.
Isaiah 3 and 12. As for my people, children are their oppressors, and women rule over them.
Right. So the scripture is saying that the children running around are oppressors, and women rule over them. So majority of the time you have women that are brought up by their mothers, right? And they never had a father figure to show them what a true woman is. They never had a father to guide the home, to show their mothers. Their mothers never had husbands, right, to show them how to operate as wives and how they should be. So in that, the children that they have, the young sisters that they have, they don't know how to bring them up as the woman of the Most High, right? So it says that children are oppressors and women rule over them, truly. And if you read Isaiah, it goes into how the Most High is going to strip the women from the things that were more precious to them, and the things that the Most High gave them as far as beauty and inner beauty, right? Let's drop down. Let's read verse 16.
Verse 16. Moreover, the Lord saith, because the daughters of Zion are haughty, and walk with stretched forth necks and wanton eyes, walking and mincing as they go, and making a tinkling with their feet. Therefore, the Lord will smite with a scab the crown of the head of the daughters of Zion.
So look, the Most High said, moreover, the Lord, right? Because the daughters of Zion are haughty, and they walk with a stretched forth neck and with wanton eyes, right? Because the women of Israel are disobedient, they walk, they're wanton, right? It means that they're very sexual, right? Hypersexual. They weren't taught how to be women. They weren't taught how to keep their legs closed, right? The Most High said, because of these causes, he said he's going to smite with the scab the crown of the daughters of Zion, right? Read.
And discover their secret parts, in that the day the Lord will take away the bravery of their tinkling ornaments about their feet, and their cauls and their round tires like the moon.
So the Most High said he's going to strip the daughters of Zion. So we see where we are today, and that's why it's a need to have sisterhood, to bring our women back into that righteous state, to that royal state that they were once in, right? So we're going to get into it. My definition of sisterhood would be sisters sharing a bond with like-mindedness to achieve a common goal. And that a common goal is to keep the Most High's commandments and ultimately get into the kingdom, right? Let's read 1 Timothy chapter 5 and verse 1. First Timothy 5 and 1. Let's read that.
5 and 1. Rebuke not an elder, but entreat him as a father, and the younger men as brethren.
Right, read.
The elder women as mothers, the younger as sisters, with all purity.
Right. The younger women, well, the elder women as mothers, the younger women as sisters, with all purity, right? So when you come into this truth, the older women has to be as mothers to the younger women, right? So a lot of times you have younger sisters come in, and because of how they were taught in the world, right, maybe they're disrespectful to their mother. So they don't have no respect for the elder women trying to teach them something that's right. A lot of times when elder women try to teach the younger women something, they always start popping off. They don't want to listen. They think their way is the best way, right? We've seen it. We've seen sisters tell other sisters, don't go that route. Don't do this. Don't mess with this guy. Don't do this. Don't do that. And sisters feel like their way is the way, and they end up getting hurt in the process, and they feel bad about it. But how many times have you gone on by yourself or gone off by yourself, and you made certain decisions and it never worked out for you? See it happen a lot of times, right? Read. And then it says, with all purity, right? Read.
Honor widows that are widows indeed. But if any widow have children or nephews, let them learn first to show piety at home.
That's it. Give me Titus chapter 2 and verse 4. So sisters got to understand, with the Most High set in place, he set it in place for a reason, because this is something that we lack in our nation, and we must get back to that, right? Get Titus chapter 2, and let's read verse 4.
That they may teach the young women to be sober.
That they may teach the younger women to be sober. What happens when sisters, come in out of the world, they come into the truth, right? They have a lot of things that they haven't put away, coming out of the world. So it's a need, because if it wasn't a need, it wouldn't even be in here, right? So it says, let the older women teach the younger women to be sober, right? Don't be out here getting drunk, being excessive, drinking all the wine, turning up, right? Read.
To love their husbands.
To love their husbands. Why? Because the younger women don't know how to love their husbands, right? They don't know how to love a man. They weren't taught how to love a man properly. So it takes the elder women, right, to show them how to love their husbands, right? Even before they get one. This is how you love a man. This is how you serve a man. This is how you keep a man, right? Read.
To love their children.
To love their children. Why? A lot of times, women, you can't tell them nothing about their children. And they feel like they have the answer. They feel like they know how to love their children. But if they knew how to love their children, the scriptures wouldn't tell the older women to show them how to love their children, right? Read.
To be discreet.
To be discreet, right? Read.
Chaste.
To be chaste, read.
Keepers at home.
Keepers at home, right? Not going out clubbing all the time, right? And this is why the sisterhood is important. When sisters have events, you know, they put on events, they come together often so they can have that camaraderie amongst each other. They can have that sisterhood. They can have that time where they could, you know, kick their shoes off and vent and, you know, be together. They don't have to go out and be in the world and never at home, right? And, you know, doing the things that are pleasing to the Lord, right? And pleasing to their husbands, right? Read.
Good.
Good, right? Read.
Obedient to their own husbands.
Obedient to their own husbands. Read.
That the word of God be not blasphemed.
And all these things the Most High said you have to teach them to do so the word will not be blasphemed. Because a lot of times it happens all the time when sisters come in and they act a certain way and they haven't put off them old ways. The truth is literally being blasphemed because outsiders are looking like, dang, that's how sisters in the truth act? That's how they go about things? And a lot of times, you know, sisters, they don't want to be the bigger person, right? They didn't feel the need that they have to be the bigger person, but in this truth, you have to be the bigger person. You have to gird up your loins and be the bigger person because guess what? Outsiders are looking at you, and they're looking at you so you could fail. They're looking for you to fail, right? Let's go to Esther. So y'all got to understand, when it comes to sisterhood, sisterhood could either make the nation or break the nation, right? And through the obedience and how our sisters act, it can either make us fruitful or unfruitful. We know that the scriptures say that the woman is the weaker vessel, right? But we know that our women are not weak. It just says they're the weaker vessel. They're actually strong, right? But it depends on how you use your strength. You can use your strength in a positive way and make the nation flourish, right? Or flourish, right? But then you can use your gifts and your talents for wickedness, and you could break a whole nation apart, right? And this is an example in the Bible of a sister that the nation had to put away because ultimately it would have broke the nation, right? Let's read. Get Esther chapter 1 and let's read verse 9.
Esther 1 and 9. Also, Vashti the queen made a feast for the women in the royal house.
Right? So Vashti made a feast to the women in the royal house, right? So this is sisterhood right here, right? The queen called them and she's having a feast for them. You can imagine what's going on. You know, then they're chopping it up, partying, dancing, whatever they do. But they had a feast for the women, sisterhood, right? Read.
In the royal house, which belonged to King Ahasuerus.
Right? So they're making it clear. It belongs to the king. She's having her feast for the women. She's bringing the women together. The women are on one accord with this situation, right? Read.
On the seventh day, when the heart of the king was merry with wine, he commanded Mehuman, Biztha, Harbonah, Bigthana, and Abag, the Zathar, Carcass, And the 7 chamberlains that served in the presence of Ahasuerus the king,
Right,
to bring Vashti, the queen, before the king with the crown royal, to show the people and the princes her beauty, for she was fair to look on.
So the king was like, look, I need y'all to go call Vashti, right? Because I want to show her off to the people, right? Read.
But the queen Vashti refused to come at the king's commandment by his chamberlains.
Right, so imagine this. Imagine your husband call you. As a matter of fact, he's saying his 7 trusted men call you and you refuse to come. You just made that man look bad, right? And I'm going somewhere with this. Watch this, read.
Therefore was the king very wroth, and his anger burned in him.
As he should be, right? Read.
Then the king said to the wise men, which knew the times, for so was the king's manner towards all that knew law and judgment.
Right, so he called the wise men like, man, let me see what's going on with this, right? Read.
And the next unto him was Karshina, Shethar, Abmatha, Tarshish, Meres, Marsina, and Mekukan, the 7 princes of Persia and Media, which saw the king's face, and which sat the first in the kingdom. What shall we do unto the queen Vashti according to the law? Because she hath not performed the commandment of the king Ahasuerus by the chamberlain.
So he says, so what should we do to the queen Vashti because she didn't follow the commandment of the king, right? And I know what you're thinking. You're like, oh, what does this have to do with us? These are heathens. Well, I'm going to show you, right? It is principle, but watch this. Read.
And Memucan answered before the king and the princes, Vashti the queen hath not done wrong to the king only, but also to all the princes and to all the people that are in all the provinces of the king Ahasuerus.
Read that again.
And Memucan answered before the king and princes, Vashti the queen hath not done wrong to the king only.
So the queen did not just do this to the king only, but who?
But also to all the princes.
Also to all the princes, right? When she disobeyed the king, she disobeyed all the princes, right? Read.
And to all the people that are in all the provinces of the king Ahasuerus.
And to all the people that are in the provinces of the king, right? And if you know the story, those who were of all the people who were in the provinces, one of those people were who? The children of Israel, right? So this is going to trickle down to the whole nation, right? Read.
For this deed of the queen shall come abroad unto all women, so that they shall despise their husbands in their eyes.
Right? So this deed is going to come upon all the women. Why? Because this sister is the queen, right? Remember, it says that she called them together for a feast, right? So we know that the queen has influence over all the women. So if the queen is acting like this, right, then the other women are going to be like, well, we can act like this, right? Now, this is bad sisterhood, right? Read.
When it shall be reported, the king Ahasuerus commanded Vashti the queen to be brought in before him, but she came not.
Right? And she came not. Was that verse 18?
No, that was 17.
Okay, let's read verse 18.
Likewise shall the ladies of Persia and Media say this day unto all the king's princes which have heard of the deed of the queen. Thus shall there arise too much contempt and wrath.
There it should arise too much contempt and wrath, right? So King Ahasuerus had to do something real quick. So guess what he did? He got rid of Vashti, and he had to bring in an Israelite woman named Esther to show them how it's done. We're going to show the nation how sisterhood is done. We're going to show the nation how to obey their kings, their princes, and their men ultimately. right? So we got to understand, as women, you can either build a nation or break a nation by what you do and by how you behave and by how you act, right? Let's go to Ephesians chapter 4. Salakia, hold on. Hold that. Hold that. Okay, yeah, that's cool. First, give me James. So we got to understand, as women, your actions can tear down, whether it be negative or positive, in building up the nation, right? Read James 5 and 16. Let's read that.
James 5 and 16.
So as sisters, and I've been seeing it here in True Nation that, you know, the sisterhood is really tremendous in here. It's growing. It's becoming much better. We've came a long way from, it's almost been 3 years since our split, and a lot of the sisters been on point. A lot of the leaven been removed. All the sisters who didn't want to get right, who didn't want to be obedient to their husbands, who didn't want to listen, who didn't want to take that correction, all praises to the Most High, them sisters were removed, and now we have a flourishing sisterhood that's going on right now, right? Sisters is getting together, doing their thing, right? SOV, Sisters of Virtue, right? And, you know, they're putting on events. They're putting on shows through Selah Soul, right? Shout out to Selah Soul. And bringing women out to show them how sisterhood should be. And it's a beautiful thing, right? And it gives them a space to be vulnerable. It gives them a space to say, look, you're not alone. We're in this with you, right? And ultimately, women instinctively know how to nourish one another, right? And what's that song by Selah Soul? As a matter of fact, it's SOV. When Kawaii was like, I remember when I lost my babies. My girls were there to hold me down, right? She said, dry your eyes. I know what you're going through, right? So when you miscarry, just like when the scripture's saying in Sirach 37:12, it says, be continued with a godly man or a godly woman, right? So when you miscarry, or when you're going through troubles, or when you're going through trials and tribulation, you have them shoulders to lean on. And that's the nourishing nature of a woman, right? So let's read James chapter 5 and verse 16.
Verse 16, confess your faults one to another and pray for one another that ye may be healed.
Right? So it says, confess your faults one to another and pray for one another so that you may be healed, right? So sisters, come together, confess your faults, right? Whatever you're going through, your sisters should be there to help you through those moments. They should help you pray for one another, right? They should help you be there for each other when you're going through hard times. They shouldn't be talking about you. They shouldn't be slandering you, right? They shouldn't be being messy behind your back, right? It should be, if I tell you one of my deepest secrets, right, as long as it's lawful, right, I don't go around and I'm sitting here sharing your business to everybody that I gave to you, right? And it's supposed to be sacred, right? So it says, confess your faults one to another, right? Read.
The effectual, fervent prayer of a righteous man availeth much.
Right? So your prayer will avail much, meaning that if you doing righteousness towards your sister, you praying for your sister, you being there for your sister, then prayers are going to reach the Most High, and ultimately your sister will be healed, right? Get Ephesians chapter 4 and verse 32. Let's read that.
Ephesians 4 and 32. And be ye kind one to another.
Be ye kind one to another. A lot of times, you see it in the world, sisters are not kind to one another. I'd rather be around brothers than around sisters because there's always drama. There's always this, there's always that. The scriptures say, be kind one to another, right? Read.
Tender-hearted,
right? We know that our sisters, they've been raised to be no-limit soldiers, right? So they all got to poke their chests out and act like they're the strongest woman in the world, right? But the scripture's saying you don't have to be that way, right? You don't have to be that way towards your sister, right? You could be vulnerable, right? And that's being tenderhearted. A lot of times sisters come into the truth and, they probably had a bad experience. They probably got with a camp or got with a group, whatever you want to call it, and the sisterhood wasn't that good, right? And then they start to put that on everybody, right? Sisters is fake, sisters is this, sisters is that. So I'm gonna just leave the truth. I'm gonna just go on by myself. Well, that don't tell me. The only thing that tell me is that you really didn't want to do it. Because if there was a job you were looking for, if you wanted to make yourself better in certain areas, even though you failed, you were always going to pick yourself back up and do something better to make yourself better. If a job didn't work out, you was going to get another job so you could get ahead in life, right? But the fact that you just went with one group and you tried it out, it didn't work, and you say, forget this, I'm leaving the truth, that just say that it wasn't in your spirit to do it anyway. You didn't want to endure the truth anyway. You didn't want to say, hey, you know what? It didn't work out here. You know what? I'm going to go over here and see how these sisters is like and see what this is like. Right? Because if you know, the scriptures say in, let's get that, in Sirach chapter 2. We're going to hold that in Ephesians. Let's get Sirach 2. Because if you know this, you understand what it comes with when you come into this walk, right? Verse 1, let's read that.
Sirach 2 and 1. My son, if thou come to serve the Lord, prepare thy soul for temptation.
My son or my daughter, if thou come to serve the Lord, prepare thy soul for temptation, right? It's not going to be peaches and cream, right? It's not going to be, everything is not going to be good all the time, right? You're not going to be happy all the time, right? Read.
Set thy heart aright and constantly endure.
Set thy heart aright and constantly endure, right? That's when you come into the truth, right? But when you're in the world and you want to do the things that you want to do, you set your desires on being something great, you fail and you pick yourself back up and you keep doing those things because you want to get somewhere where you want to be. But when it comes to the Lord, you just automatically give up. Because why? Your heart wasn't in it in the first place. You were looking for excuses. You wanted to find an excuse to be like, all right, I tried it, I'm going. I can't, you know what? All you got to do is just be honest with yourself. Don't blame it on the sisterhood. Because if you truly, right, if you truly wanted to make things work or you were truly looking for a good sisterhood, you could have been the one to come in and make that sisterhood better, right? You have leaders, you have men that you can go to and say, look, I'm looking for something. I'm looking to be better. I'm looking to be built up as a woman, right? How can I be built up as a woman? Bring the problems that you have to leadership and see what can happen, what can change. A lot of times people just be silent, right? You got something?
As far as what Christ said, you know, what he's talking about, he said, let your light shine before men so that your good works can be known and done. Just with that example in itself alone. And then not to get too deep into it, but a perfect example of sisters being on one accord and righteousness, you know, back then was in Exodus when Pharaoh had told the midwives or the women to kill all the men-child, but all the sisters being, you know, in a righteous state of mind, they collectively said together, you know, no, as, you know, this is one of those temptations, but they refused to kill the men-child. And then the Pharaoh's, like, you know, undermen was like, why didn't you kill them? And they're like, well, we're not like you, you know, Egyptian women. You know, we're more, and it says the women of Israel are lively. And that's where the women get in its negative sense, like KANASH is saying, you know, that stiff-headed, that stiff-neckedness, you know, and that popping at the lips, stuff like that, you know, like that's ingrained in our women, but it has to be trimmed up and tamed towards righteousness for examples like this in our history.
Right, Khan, absolutely. Let's finish that in Sirach.
Verse 3, cleave unto him and depart not away, that thou mayest be increased.
Constantly endure. I think it was verse 2. Yeah.
Oh.
Read verse 2 again. Yeah.
Verse 2, set thy heart aright and constantly endure.
So constantly endure. Don't think that when you come in, it's going to be, everything is just going to be good, because it's not. That's why the scripture is telling you constantly endure, right? Read.
And make not haste in time of trouble.
Don't make haste in time of trouble. Don't be like, well, I tried it, I'm about to leave. The Most High, you're going to be like, all right, well, go. You didn't even give your best foot forward, right? Read.
Cleave unto him and depart not away, that thou mayest be increased at thy last end.
And that thy might be increased at thy last end, right? So by you constantly enduring, okay, maybe this didn't work over here. Well, you know what? I'm not going to give up. I'm going to go over here. That could have been your increase. You could have found sisters that click with you like that you found what you was looking for. These are the sisters that I need to be around. These are the ones that's building the nation. These are the ones that's coming together and putting their best foot forward, right? Mm-hmm. Let's go back to Ephesians. (4 and 32).
Oh yeah, 4 and 32. And be ye kind one to another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another.
Forgiving one another, right? Not holding grudges, right? We know that's one big thing amongst our sisters, like to hold grudges, right? A lot of times, it's crazy because, like I said, the women can either break the nation or build a nation, right? When women hold grudges against women, right, it'd be hard for the brothers to come together, right? And that's if you got, I'm going to say, in a sense, weak brothers, right? But when sisters is at odds, it's like, I ain't going over there. I ain't messing with them, right? But when sisters is like, okay, let's say brothers is at odds with each other, and sisters are, you know, mingling and doing their thing, but they husbands got a problem, it'd be, the husbands be like, all right, I'd be cordial with them. What's up, Ak? Boom. It's all good. But when sisters is at odds, right, they can convince their husbands, right, to do whatever they want them to do. Right? So we got to understand, sisters hold a lot of power. Let's finish that.
Even as God, for Christ's sake, hath forgiven you.
Right. So we got to forgive as Christ forgave us. Let's get Galatians chapter 5. So being tender towards one another, right? Galatians chapter 5, and let's read verse 22.
22. But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, long-suffering, gentleness, goodness, and faith, meekness, and temperance. Against such there is no law.
Right? So as long as you operating in the fruits of the Spirit, can't nobody speak against you. Can't nobody speak against the sisterhood as long as it's operating in this fashion, right? And remember, having that love, right, is ultimately keeping the commandments, right? Checking your sisters when they're going off, right? You know, giving your sisters them good words of encouragement when they're doing good, right? Being there for them when things are going wrong in their life, right? We got to understand that as long as you're checking yourself on the daily, right, as a collective, as women, you know what? I'm going to hold myself accountable. I'm going to start chipping off at the things I need to do daily, right? And not pointing the fingers, well, what about her? Or what about what she did? No. Check yourself. Make sure you're right, right? Make sure that you're doing the things that you need to do as a woman to give to the sisterhood. Making sure that you bring in your gifts and your talents to the sisterhood, right? Let's go to let's go to 1 Corinthians. No, let's go to Susanna. Susanna chapter 1, and let's read verse 31. So being there for one another, encouraging one another, right? And not being glad, right, when another sister fall. Being there to uplift them, not being a hater in the background, like, oh, that's what the hell she get. I didn't like her. I didn't like her anyway, right? Hold on, let me get to it. Susanna. Susanna 1 and 31.
31, yep.
Go ahead, you can read it.
Now Susanna was a very delicate woman and beauteous to behold. Excuse me, my bad. And these wicked men commanded to uncover her face, for she was covered that they might be filled with her beauty.
Verse 31. So when you understand the story of Susanna, right? She was a righteous woman. Let's read verse 1.
Verse 1. There dwelt a man in Babylon called Joachim, and he took a wife whose name was Susanna, the daughter of Chelcias, a very fair woman, and one that feared the Lord.
Right, she was very fair, and she was one that feared the Lord, right? Read.
Her parents also were righteous.
Her parents were righteous as well. So this woman had righteous parents, right? Read.
And taught their daughter according to the law of Moses.
Right, and they taught their daughter according to the law of Moses. So it goes to say that these two elders, right, they were inflamed in lust with her, and they lied on her and said that she slept with a young man, and they saw her, and it wasn't true. And when they brought her forth to the judges, and he told his matter, right, they were about to put her to death, right? And this is what they said. Read verse 31.
31. Now Susanna was a very delicate woman and beauteous to behold.
All right, read.
And these wicked men commanded to uncover her face, for she was covered, that they might be filled with her beauty. Therefore her friends and all that saw her wept. Then the two elders stood up in the midst of the people and laid their hands upon her head.
Right. So all her family and her friends wept for her because this is something that they didn't see her doing because she was raised righteously. And they was like, nah, not Susanna, right? So they felt that sorrow for her. They felt bad for her. And ultimately they cried. It wasn't sitting in the background. Or you probably had some sitting in the background like, that's what she ugly anyway. She ugly anyway. Knowing she's pretty, Because the scriptures say it, but all right, it is what it is. I'm happy this is happening to her, right? Hating in the background, but sisters shouldn't be that way. It says that her friends and her family wept for her, right? Because they knew that she was a righteous woman, right? We got to understand that being a sister, you can't sit back hating on your sister, having that secret jealousy towards your sisters, right? We got to understand that the sisterhood can be messy. Sisterhood can be totally messy. And if it's not checked, it could go too far and you'll have division everywhere, right? Let's get Sirach chapter 25 and verse 1. So don't have that secret hate in your heart for your sisters, right? Because they possess things that you don't have, right? Because then you got to remember, in Corinthians 12, it says that everybody has their own gifts, right? Everybody has their purpose. Everybody has their talents that they can bring to the table, right? Get Sirach 25, and let's read verse 1. Let's start there.
25 and 1 in Sirach. In 3 things I was beautified and stood up beautiful both before God and men. The unity of brethren, the love of neighbors, a man and a wife that agree together.
Right, read.
3 sorts of men my soul hateth, and I am greatly offended at their life. A poor man that is proud, a rich man that is a liar, and an old adulterer that doteth. If thou hast gathered nothing in thy youth, how canst thou find anything in thine age?
Right. So if you haven't learned anything as a woman in your youth, how can you find anything in your old age, right? So that's where it comes in, that it's important for the women, the older women, to teach the younger women as they get older how they should be. So when they come of age, they can know, okay, this is the things that I need to do, right? Get verse 12.
Verse 12. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of his love, and faith is the beginning of cleaving unto him. Give me any plague but the plague of the heart, and any wickedness but the wickedness of a woman.
Right. So it says, give me the plague but the plague of the heart, and any wickedness but the wickedness of a woman.
How you doing, brother? You all right?
Oh, it's Shalam. Why you got your hood on? Give me any plague but the plague of the heart, and any wickedness but the wickedness of a woman, right? So the scriptures is saying, look, you can give me anything in the world, but the wickedness of a woman, I don't want it, right? Because we know when sisters go bad, they go bad. We know when sisters go left, they go left, right? We got men that's 6 feet in the grave because of a woman, right? We have women fighting other women because they told another woman something that was not true about them, right? If you're not operating in this and you have sisters who are operating in this wicked spirit, it can cause all of y'all to go aside from one another. It can cause y'all to have division amongst one another, right? Read.
We're on verse. All right, my guy.
All right, verse 12.
Verse 12. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of his love, and faith is the beginning of cleaving unto him.
Right, read.
Give me any plague but the plague of the heart, and any wickedness but the wickedness of a woman.
Right, read verse 14.
14.
Right.
And any affliction but the affliction from them that hate me, and any revenge but the revenge of enemies. There is no head above the head of a serpent, and there is no wrath above the wrath of an enemy. I had rather dwell with a lion and a dragon than to keep house with a wicked woman.
Right? And that goes for, we use this scripture in the context of a man. You know, I don't want to deal with a woman that's wicked, right? I would rather dwell with a dragon than to keep house with a woman. But how many times do you hear women say, "Oh, I don't want to live with another woman," because women have problems. Women have issues, right? Well, the fact that you said that, it says that you have problems. It says that you have problems, right? But what if we checking ourselves on the dailies? I don't want to have those problems. What are you doing to fast and pray to get rid of those problems so you can be comfortable with being around sisters? Right? I don't want to share a house with another woman because sisters be this, sisters be that. Right? All it takes is you to get better. All it takes for her to get better, her to get better. And then if we all doing that, we come together, we good. Right? Easier said than done. Let's read.
17. The wickedness of a woman changeth her face.
Right? The wickedness of the woman change her face. When a woman is mad and wrathful, you can't tell her nothing. Right? Read.
And darkeneth her countenance like sackcloth.
She darkeneth her countenance like sackcloth. You can't tell her nothing. You got sisters on Facebook. They want to teach the whole world. You tell them something, they mad. I'm about to block this nigga. These niggas in the truth ain't nothing. Right? But if they had sisterhood, they'll tell her, hey, sister, get offline trying to debate with men. Get offline trying to be authority over man. Well, what about Judith and what about Deborah? Last time I checked, you are not Deborah. Second, you're not on Facebook encouraging men to do better. You talking about how much of a nigga they are, how lustful they are, how they shouldn't do this, how they shouldn't do that. Not once do you hear them encourage them. Oh, brothers, you know, I know you're going through this. Put a few scriptures out. Be encouraged. That's not what you see. Right? And if you had a sisterhood, I guarantee if sisters in the Facebook world or Instagram world, wherever you are, if you had a sisterhood, you wouldn't be on there doing the things that you're doing. Right? Because first and foremost, they'd be teaching you how to be a woman, how to be shamefaced. They'd be teaching you if you have a husband, because a lot of sisters be on Facebook and they got a husband and they be on there all damn night. And they got kids and everything. Sis, why are you not tending to your husband and your kids? All you do is be on Facebook.
That's like a telltale sign that you need.
you need sisterhood.
You
right.
need that. Yeah.
Telltale sign that you need it. Because if you had it, you wouldn't be doing this, right? That was verse 17. Drop down to read verse 24.
Okay. Shit. 24. Of the woman came the beginning of sin, and through her we all die.
Right, read.
Give the water no passage, neither a wicked woman liberty to gad abroad.
You see? Give the water no passage, neither a wicked woman liberty to gad abroad. Right? Don't give her the liberty to be out here talking all type of mess. And she wouldn't be doing that if she had a sisterhood, if she indulged herself in the things that the Lord told her to do. Right? You got something?
I just want to say, just kind of just like on the negative aspect of it. I was watching a film the other night. It's called Death Proof. You guys can look it up, you know, on your own. But it centers around, you know, the friendship of two particular sets of women and stuff like that. So it's like, y'all really, you know, when y'all click, be it in righteousness, y'all will click and you know, it'll be a wonderful thing. You know, it was wonderful seeing like some of the scenes shot in that movie. And granted, a lot of the conversations weren't productive, righteous conversations, but like in their wickedness and such like that, they had, like that off-brand, sisterhood. But that's what you need. So if the issue is that you don't want to be around sisters, that's a lie. Like we're programmed to, want to be around each other in, it's righteousness, sisterhood, brotherhood as well too. So just you gotta really understand what it is that you're revolving that sisterhood around, which we read about for the most part in Titus already. So
I think honestly, and that was a good point, but I think honestly it's insecurity. I don't know where I fit in. I don't know how I'm gonna fit in. But there's one thing I wrote down. So, and it's 5 things, right? Helping your sister identify her talents and gifts. Her talents, gifts, and purpose, right? So as you come in, well, maybe you don't know what you have to offer, right? But that's when you come in and you have your sisters come in and they pour into you so they could bring it out of you, right? So they could give you, so they could guide you and show you where your gifts and your talents will be. You might come into the sisterhood and you might develop some gifts and talents that you never knew you had, right? You probably get on the sewing machine and be the best sewer in the world, right? You may come in and start cooking for the feast or whatever, and now you cooking for the feast, and maybe you start your own business cooking and everything, right? Maybe you intern with a sister who got her own business going, and you're learning to do the things as an apprentice under her, and now you're like, man, I just found a new love. I want to do this, right? So as sisters, you guys have to help other sisters identify their talents, their gifts, and their purpose, right? And it comes with, it don't come with just being by yourself and being alone. It comes with being around like-minded people to bring that out of you, right? Let's hold that and let's get 1 Corinthians chapter 12 and verse 25. So there's a lot of things that can happen when it comes to, sisterhood and brotherhood, right? That's why the Most High said we shouldn't forsake the assemblies of ourselves coming together, right? Because when we come together, we learn more about each other. But when we all alone and we just by ourselves, we don't even know ourselves. We don't know. You're not active enough. Your mind is not working to develop some skills to bring certain things out of you. You're just alone and you're in your own mind and you're thinking these wicked thoughts. The scripture said that idle time is the devil's playground. So now you out here thinking everybody is your enemy. I don't have nothing to bring to the table. I don't have this. I don't have that, right? And, if you don't check that, you could catch yourself being jealous of other sisters, and now you have a problem with the sisterhood for no reason. Right? Let's read 1 Corinthians chapter 12 and verse 25.
25, that there should be no schism in the body, but that the members should have the same care one for another.
Right? So there shouldn't be no schism in the body. We should have care one towards another. Hold on one second. Okay. I'm sorry, y'all. My Bible's still fresh. Go ahead.
26. And whether one member suffer, all the members suffer with
it. Start from 12 again. I'm sorry.
Okay. Verse 12?
Yeah, verse 12.
Okay.
Verse 25. I'm sorry.
25, that there should be no schism in the body, but that the members should have the same care one for another.
Right. So that there should be no schisms in the body, but that the members should have the same care one to another, right? So there shouldn't be no divisions, right? We should be able to care for one another and be there for each other and make sure that we're pulling out the best gifts, from our counterparts, from our sisters, right? Read.
And whether one member suffer, all the members suffer with it.
Right? So if one member suffers, then we all suffer. So if one sister is falling short of something, then we all falling short of something, right? Because as a whole, we're the body, right? And it's going to go into it, right? Read.
Or one member be honored, all the members rejoice.
Right? So when that member is honored, right, then all the members rejoice. Why? Because it says, look, Christ said if one sheep fall away, right, we're going to be happy that we got that one sheep back when we go get it, right? If one fall out the truth, I'm going to rejoice because, look, it says that the heavens and angels rejoice because you won a soul, right? So we should be all joined together under one accord, right? Read.
27, now ye are the body of Christ, and members in particular.
Right, read.
And God has set some in the church, first apostles, secondarily prophets, thirdly teachers, after that miracles, then gifts of healings, helps, governments, and diversities of tongues.
Right? So the scriptures is telling us here that everybody has a gift. Everybody has a purpose, right? And it's up to you to be amongst the body to bring out those gifts and bring out the purpose, right? Because he didn't say, oh, you have talents, you have gifts on your own, right? Because amongst the brothers, you have apostles, you have prophets, you have teachers, right? You have governments, you have gifts of healing, helps, diversities of tongue, and all these come together as a nation. I can't speak Spanish, but some brothers do, right? They speak multiple languages, right? So they have the talents of tongues. They could speak in multiple languages that I don't have, right? I have talents to do other things that could bring value to the nation, right? Sisters got to do the same thing. As you guys come together under one body, you guys are bringing out what member you are and what do you contribute to this body, right? Everybody, don't think as a sister, when I come into the sisterhood, well, I don't have nothing to offer. Yes, you do. You have to make sure that you're involving yourself and you're making sure that these sisters are pouring into you and bringing it out of you, right? Because a lot of sisters don't have that. And that's the importance of sisterhood, right? 2, making the work environment positive, right? Whenever you guys do, the scripture says, whatever you do towards the Lord, do it heartily, right? Do it willingly, right? Don't do it grievously, right? Everything that you set forth to do, make sure that it's positive, right? Anything around you, make sure that the environment that y'all are working in, whether it's serving, whether it's getting ready, like, shout out to the sisters again, SOV. This past, they had a brunch for the women. And, you know, they were there. All the sisters was there, and they gave a helping hand, and it came out beautiful. Everything was set in order. Everything was in place. They had a few hiccups, you know. Shout out to the brothers to help them. You feel me? But for the most part, the sisters, there weren't no arguments. It wasn't no type of drama. Everybody was just there to work and put their best foot forward so that the brunch could be, so it could have a good turnout. And it had a good turnout. Everything was, the decorations was beautiful. Sisters was looking nice. You know, everybody who said they was going to be there was there. And it was just a good turnout. And that was with the help of the sisterhood coming together and being positive and saying that we're going to make this thing work. We're going to do it, right? Everybody was involved. So you have to have that positive. And if you don't have that positive person that's in the group and it's causing division, you got to get rid of that person. You got to sit them down like, look, this is how we operate over here. We're operating in righteousness. We're operating in unity, right? We're not having no schisms. So if you want to be nasty, if you want to be incoherent, you don't want to, you don't want to receive correction, just go over there for a little while. Get counsel, talk to somebody. But over here, we bring in positive vibes, right? Get 1 1 Corinthians chapter 1, and let's read verse 10 to go with that point.
1 Corinthians 1 and 10. Now beseech you, brethren, by the name of our Lord Jesus Christ, that ye all speak the same thing, and that there be no divisions among you.
Right? That there be no division among you, right? Read.
But that ye be perfectly joined together in
being perfectly joined together, right? Having that unity, right? Read.
In the same mind and in the same judgment.
In the same mind and in the same judgment. When you have one person going off, right, it'll cause other people to go off. And now you have schisms in the sisterhood. So y'all got to make sure that y'all checking each other daily, making sure that y'all on point, right? Third, I think that every congregation, every camp, every group, whatever you want to call it, should have a women's roundtable, right? Bringing forth perspectives and ideas, how to make the sisterhood better, right? How can we show the sisters that's without a better way? You know, give them something that, oh, I like that over there. I want to be a part of that, right? Sharing your different ideas of how do you think we can make the sisterhood better, right? You know, all type of stuff, right? Whatever you women talk about, as long as it's righteous and in judgment, right? Number 4, lifting up the younger sisters, right? Being positive towards them. We see that a lot. I seen some of the younger sisters, you know, doing the gift bags, you know, working together, doing the gift bags, even amongst the younger ones. I didn't see no fighting. I didn't see no argument, no nothing, right? So the older sisters are giving the younger sisters tasks to do with each other, you know, and see how they work together, and it's all positive, right? And then, of course, laws to protect sisters in their walk, right? And we know that the scriptures provide that. Give me Matthew chapter 12, and let's read verse 50. So we know laws to protect sisters in their walk, right? And the scriptures give us laws for sisters. Some sisters don't want to take that because they want to do what they want to do, right? They don't want to adhere to these laws that will ultimately protect them. You know, sucks for them, right? Matthew chapter 12, and let's read verse 50.
For whosoever shall do the will of my Father which is in heaven, the same is my brother and sister and mother.
So if you're doing the will of the Father, that's your sister. Those are your sisters, the ones who are in the trenches with you, the ones who are adhering to the laws and commandments of the Most High, the ones who are, you know, eschewing evil, you know, doing the things that they need to do to make themselves better, right? So as men, we're our brother's keepers, right? And as women, you guys are your sisters' guides, right? You're guiding your sisters into virtuousness, into righteousness, into being that Proverbs 31 that the scriptures speak of, right? Give me Ruth chapter 2, and let's read verse 19. So, as sisters, you'll have to be that guide to the sisters, like the scriptures say. You know, the elder teaching the younger how they should move, how they should be shamefaced, love their husband, love their children. It's before Samuel. It's after Judges. Yes, sir. Yes.
Got you.
Yes.
Ruth 2:19. And her mother-in-law said unto her, Where hast thou gleaned today? And where wrougtest thou? Blessed be he that did take knowledge of thee. And she showed her mother-in-law with whom she had wrought, and said, the man's name with whom I wrought today is Boaz.
So throughout this whole process, you know, Naomi is guiding Ruth in how to get this near of kins because her husband passed away, right? So Naomi is teaching her how to get this man. She's showing her and guiding her how to come into this inheritance, right? Read.
And Naomi said unto her daughter-in-law, blessed be he of the Lord, who hath not left off his kindness to the living and to the dead. And Naomi said unto her, the man is near of kin unto us, one of our next kinsmen.
So Naomi giving her the game, like, look, this is our next in near of kinsman, right? So she's telling her, like, look, this is who you should go for, right? Read.
And Ruth the Moabitess said, he said unto me also, thou shalt keep fast by my young men until they have ended all my harvest.
So he's letting her glean in his field, right? Read.
And Naomi said unto Ruth, her daughter-in-law, it is good, my daughter, that thou go out with his maidens, that they meet thee not in any other field. So she kept fast by the maidens of Boaz to glean until the end of barley harvest and of wheat harvest, and dwelt with her mother-in-law.
Right, so she dwelt with her mother-in-law. So her mother-in-law is walking her through the process. She giving her the game. She's showing her what she should do, right? Read chapter 3, and let's read verse 1 through 12.
Ruth 3:1. Then Naomi, her mother-in-law, said unto her, my daughter, shall I not seek rest for thee, that it may be well with thee? And now is not Boaz of our kindred, with whose maidens thou wast? Behold, he winnoweth barley tonight in the threshing floor. Wash thyself therefore, and anoint thee, and put thy raiment upon thee, and get thee down to the floor. But make not thyself known unto the man, until he shall have done eating and drinking.
Right, so you see her. She's telling her what she should do. She's telling her how she should go about things. She's giving her, she's literally guiding her on what she should do. Same thing with Mordecai. Mordecai, he led Esther, he groomed Esther to be a queen of Israel, right? To be that righteous queen of Israel, right? Read.
And it shall be when he lieth down, that thou shalt mark the place where he shall lie, and thou shalt go in and uncover his feet, and lay thee down, and he will tell thee what thou shalt do. And she said unto her, all that thou sayest unto me, I will do.
Right? So she told her, and it shall be when he lieth down, that thou shalt mark the place where he shall lie, and thou shalt go in and uncover his feet, and lie thee down, and he will tell thee what thou shalt do. And she said unto her, all that thou sayest unto me, I will do. So she giving her the game, like, look, go mark your place, go lay down at his feet, and he gonna tell you what you should do, right? A lot of times sisters be like, I ain't doing that. I ain't about to listen to that sister. She don't know what she's talking about. She going off, right? She's showing her how to get a righteous man, right? Sisters go off and be like, I ain't listen to that counsel. And then you get with a nigga that's wicked as hell, and you find yourself in a bad situation. Then you want to blame the whole nation. Forget that congregation. You start blaming everybody but yourself because you didn't listen to the wise counsel. You didn't listen to the guide. Oh, why is she telling me? Oh, she hating. She telling me not to be with this person. 9 times out of 10, she's telling you not to be with the person because she probably know them. She probably know what they about. She probably seen your spirit and like, man, your spirit don't mesh with his spirit. Right? But this is true sisterhood, right? Bringing sisters under your wing and guiding them to a righteous man, right? And if sisters listen, they will be successful, right? You come into a congregation, right? Trusted sisters, be like, okay, look, you should ask them, who should you look for? As they get to know your spirit, they'll say, well, I think this person is good for you. You may want the tall, dark, and handsome, but they telling you, look, he's not for you. That's not the one for you. He messes with your spirit. I think you should get to know him, and I think y'all turn out good. Sisters be like, nah, I don't want that. I'm good. I'm gonna just do my own thing. All right. But once you lay, you stay. It's better that you listen to wise counsel, right? Read.
Verse 6. And she went down unto the floor and did according to all that her mother-in-law bade her.
Right? So she did everything that her mother-in-law told her to do. Right? Read.
And when Boaz had eaten and drunk, and his heart was merry, he went to lie down at the end of the heap of corn. And she came softly and uncovered his feet and laid her down.
Did exactly what Naomi told her to do, right? Read.
And it came to pass at midnight that the man was afraid and turned himself, and behold, a woman lay at his feet. And he said, Who art thou? And she answered, I am Ruth, thine handmaid. Spread therefore thy skirt over thine handmaid, for thou art a near kinsman.
Right? So she said, look, you a near kinsman. So let me know what's going on, right? Read.
And he said, Blessed be thou of the Lord, my daughter, for thou hast showed more kindness in the latter end than at the beginning, inasmuch as thou followest not young men, whether poor or rich.
Right? So she followed what her mother-in-law Naomi told her to do. She didn't follow after the young men, right? She didn't go after them. She went after the one that Naomi told her to get. Go get him, right? But look, Boaz is a righteous man, right? Read.
And now, my daughter, fear not. I will do to thee all that thou requirest, for all the city of my people doth know that thou art a virtuous woman.
He said, don't worry, I'm going to be kind to you, because all the city know that you are a righteous woman. So Naomi just pushed her into the hands of a righteous man. All praises that she listened, right? Read.
And now it is true that I am thy near kinsman. Howbeit, there is a kinsman nearer than I.
And this is why I said Boaz, this is why I say Naomi pushed her to a righteous man, right? Because Boaz, he could have said, all right, let's get it on. Let's do it. Let's go into the marriage chamber and let's get it on. But he said, look, and now it is true that I am thy near kinsman. Howbeit, there is a kinsman nearer than I. He said, look, there's another man that's more near to him than I am. Selfless, right? A righteous man. Naomi pushed her to a righteous man. So the story goes, she goes and go to the one that was nearest kinsman than Boaz. He refused, right? And Boaz ended up marrying her, right? So she got her a righteous man by listening to her mother-in-law, by listening to the sisterhood and not throwing it off, right? Because a lot of times sisters come in and they think they know what's best. You didn't even know what was best for you in the world. Sisters still come into this truth and pick the wrong dude. Because you still going after what you went after in the world. I want the popular dude. Ooh, look at him. He's a teacher. I want him. And a lot of these teachers in Israel boast themselves to be the greatest man in the world, and they be wicked as hell. I want the popular dude. Listen to your sisters. They know better than you. right? Especially if they've been in the walk, right? I'm trusted over here. I'll be like, look, I ain't gotta be a Jacob. Be like, you know what? I'm about to grab this sister up for me. I'll be like, look, you want to be with me? Go talk to my sisters. My sisters will tell you everything that you need to know. Go talk to the sisters. They're gonna make sure you get you a righteous man. They're gonna make sure you on point, right? They're gonna make sure you become that Proverbs 31, right? Go to the sisterhood. Be amongst the sisters. What else I got? That was in the roof. Let's go back to Sirach. I think we was at 25. Was it 25? Yeah. Let's finish that. We're gonna finish off in Sirach. So. Let's go. I think it was 20. Was it 25? Yes, 25. 25 and 24. Let's read that.
Sirach 25 and 24. Of the woman came the beginning of sin, and through her we all died. Verse 25, give the water no passage, neither a wicked woman liberty to gad abroad.
Right, so don't give no occasion to a woman to speak wickedly, right? Read.
If she go not as thou wouldest have her.
That's it. Get Sirach 26, and let's read verse 6.
Verse 6. But a grief of heart and sorrow is a woman that is jealous of another woman.
But a grief of heart and sorrow is a woman that is jealous over another woman, right? We see this a lot in our nation as well, right? Women being jealous over one. How could there be sisterhood if women are jealous over one another, right? There shouldn't be no jealousy amongst the sisterhood. If it is, right, sisters need to fast and pray and check your spirit. Because the Most High said he hates division, right? If you secure in yourself and you know that you being all that you can be as a righteous woman, you wouldn't have to worry about the next woman. You wouldn't have to worry about another woman, right? Read.
An evil wife is a yoke, shaken to and fro.
You wasn't finished with the scripture. 6.
Oh, excuse me. And sorrow is a woman that is jealous over another woman, and a scourge of the tongue which communicateth with all.
Right, and the scourge of a tongue which communicateth with all. Right? It could do damage. Right? Speaking evil because you're jealous can do damage to the nation, can do damage to the sisterhood, right? Give verse 8.
Verse 8, a drunken woman and a gatherer abroad causeth great anger.
A drunken woman and a gatherer abroad causeth much anger, right? Sisters shouldn't be coming to the school already lit, already been drinking, right? And especially if you know when you have a drink, you get turned up and you start going in and going off. Sisters shouldn't be doing that, right? Mm-hmm. Salakia. And a gather abroad causing great anger, you know, talking all type of foolishness out of your mouth, and it's just causing anger and causing division amongst the sisterhood. Every time you come around, there's division and drama. There's always something going on. There's always something happening, right? This shouldn't be going on in the sisterhood, right? Read verse 9.
The whoredom of a woman may be known in her haughty looks and eyelids.
Right? You coming in trying to be haughty, trying to look all pretty, and trying to talk to every brother you see, the sisters is going to check you. Sisterhood, they going to check you. Right? Read.
If thy daughter be shameless, keep her in straitly, lest she abuse herself through overmuch liberty.
Right? If you have a woman being shameless, this go for your daughters and younger women. You know, keep her at straight. Make sure that she's not going and doing the foolish thing that the women in the world do. Right? Read.
Lest she abuse herself through overmuch liberty.
Right? Because she's going to abuse herself with much liberty. Right? Sisters come in and they abuse themselves when they come into this truth. They go sleep with man to man. Then next thing you know, you got them not adhering to the scriptures. Oh, sex is not marriage. When that scripture is there to protect you, because once that man has sex with you, he must follow the steps to make you his wife, right? But sisters to take that as a scapegoat. Oh, we just had sex, but sex ain't marriage. Well, you fornicated. Either way, you in trouble. Right? Read.
Watch over an impudent eye, and marvel not if she trespass against thee. She will open her mouth as a thirsty traveler when he hath found a fountain, and a drink of every water near her. By every hedge will she sit down, and open her quiver against every arrow.
Right, and we know sisters shouldn't be acting like this. If you identify the scripture, if you uncover it, you'll know that this is talking about a loose woman, a harlot, one that's giving her goodies to everybody. So, the importance of sisterhood. You not out there on your lonesome and you got every man in your DM or speaking to you, because mind you, and I'm not going to be the one to say that we don't, there's some wicked Negroes in Israel. And they'll hit it and quit it if you let them. Truth be told. That's why it's important for you to get amongst the sisters so you can have that accountability and so that you can get with a man who has accountability, right? Both of y'all, right? Get Sirach chapter 28, and let's read verse 16.
Sirach 28 and 16. Whoso hearkeneth unto it shall never find rest, and never dwell quietly. The stroke of the whip maketh marks in the flesh, but the stroke of the tongue breaketh the bones. Many have fallen by the edge of the sword, but not so many as have fallen by the tongue.
Right? Not so many has fallen by the tongue, right? Because like I said, amongst the sisterhood, right, it can get real messy. When you're going around and you're talking about people, you exposing secrets, right? Read.
Well is he that is defended from it, and hath not passed through the venom thereof, who hath not drawn the yoke thereof, nor hath been bound in her bands. For the yoke thereof is a yoke of iron, and the bands thereof are bands of brass. The death thereof is an evil death, and the grave were better than it. It shall not have rule over them that fear God, neither shall they be burned with the flame thereof. Such as forsake the Lord shall fall into it, and it shall burn in them, and not be quenched. It shall be sent upon them as a lion, and devour them as a leopard.
Read verse, Salakia. I was trying to catch it. Read verse, read verse 14.
Verse 14. A backbiting tongue hath disquieteth many, and driven them from nation to nation. Strong cities hath it pulled down, and overthrown the houses of great men.
Right. So if a backbiting tongue, right, can disquiet many, right, and driven them from nation to nation, right, what do you think it could do to the sisterhood? It will dismantle the sisterhood completely, right? Read verse 15.
A backbiting tongue hath cast out virtuous women.
A backbiting tongue have cast out virtuous women, right? What happened with Susanna, right? A backbiting tongue, right, cast out a virtuous woman until somebody, saved her and spoke up for her cause, right? Read.
And deprived them of their labors.
Right? So we don't look, we start to, in a sense, speak on people that we don't have no business speaking on, right? When they doing the works and you not. You're jealous of them because they're doing the things that you're not, right? When it could all be so simple if you just involve yourself in the sisterhood and make sure you're doing the works. Because if you're not doing the works, of course you're going to feel less than. If you're not over here working with the sisters, of course you're going to feel left out. But it ain't their fault, it's your fault because you're not working. You're not putting your foot in to do better. So then now you bringing up false reports against a virtuous woman. Right? Let's read verse 25.
And weigh thy words in a balance, and make a door and a bar for thy mouth. Beware thou slide not by it, lest thou fall before him that lieth in wait.
Right. It was one that I had. I can't find it. Yeah, but it goes into how backbiting could be real messy, and it could cause division amongst the sisterhood and the brotherhood, and ultimately the nation, and it could destroy a people. One more thing I want to touch on. Give me Ruth. Give me Ruth 4. Let's go back to Ruth. Give me Ruth chapter 4. So one thing, even amongst sisterhood, one thing that's very important, and I did a lesson on it last month, that can destroy a sisterhood, and I know a lot of sisters have a problem with it, polygyny, right? Polygyny could destroy the sisterhood as well, right? In the sense that you ain't cool with it. A sister come in and say, I think your husband will be the right fit for me, leading me. You will look at that, you will look at it and, what'd she say? I know she didn't say what I think she said. Man. Right? And it's a dangerous game because now you have a sister come in and, I have a desire for your husband, right? And now you got all the sisters on your side. Well, if she do it, then there's going to be other women that come in and do it. And I don't want them to be on my husband. So you know what? I'm on your side. We got to talk to the sister. Let's bring her in and talk to her. Look, you can't have my husband. As a matter of fact, you can't have none of our husbands. The Most High going to hold you accountable. Man. It is what it is. Because at the end of the day, if polygyny is lawful, right? If polygyny is lawful, and the scripture doesn't speak against it at all, how are you speaking against it, right? How? And then ultimately, you're bringing division in sisterhood because you're saying, she shouldn't be going for my husband. The scriptures don't say that. Yeah, there's a certain way that you go about things, but to tell somebody they can't go for your husband is absurd because a man, if he wanted to, and it ain't expedient for all men, But if he wanted to, he could court 2 women at the same time if he wanted to. You telling me that Solomon got 1 wife at a time? If you think about how many wives Solomon had, and you do the calculations, he was getting 1, 2 at the same time quite often. And I'm not saying sleeping in the bed, having 3. No, I'm not talking about that. But sisters think that your man is exclusively just yours. When he's not your possession, when he's not your possession, you're his possession. So for you to say, oh, she can't go for my husband. She shouldn't be looking at my husband like this. She shouldn't be. Okay, cool. I understand. There's a certain way you go about things, but you can't say something that the scriptures don't speak against. Go ahead.
And that's ultimately what is one of the pillars of what virtuous, righteous sisterhood is, founded on. Without it, the whole thing falls over. Is that coming back to that principle is that you are in righteousness the man's possession. That's like the big, that's like the big 3, things that goes as far as what we talked about in Titus.
Right. Read Ruth chapter 4 and verse 12.
Ruth 4 and 12. And let thy house be like the house of Pharez, whom Tamar bare unto Judah.
Read verse 11, my bad.
Excuse me. And all the people that were in the gate, and the elders said, we are witnesses. The Lord make the woman that is come into thine house like Rachel and like Leah, which 2 did build the house of Israel.
Right? So Rachel and Leah, they did build the house of Israel. These are 2 women that was in a polygynous relationship, and they also had handmaids that they offered to their husband, right? So they can build the nation. This is sisterhood. They knew what sisterhood was about. Right? Proverbs 31. Watch this. Because I touched on it earlier. Oh, I don't want to be around women. I don't want to live in the same house with a woman. So why are we talking about sisterhood then? If we can't get along with our sisters, why are we talking about sisterhood? Why if a man get another wife, sisterhood just goes out the window? How? How, Sway? Right? Proverbs chapter 31. Watch this. Proverbs 31. And let's read, Proverbs chapter, right, Proverbs 31, let's read verse 15. Read.
Verse 15, she riseth also while it is yet night.
She riseth while it is yet night, right? Read.
And giveth meat to her household.
She's giving meat to her household. Right? Read.
And a portion to her maidens.
And a portion to her maidens. And 9 times out of 10, her husband was sleeping with the maidens. Right? She didn't say, I'm just about to feed my family. I'm going to feed my husband and my kids. It says she gave a portion to her maidens. If her husband had multiple wives, she was giving food to the whole house, even the wives. So if we're talking about sisterhood, we can't be against the things that the scriptures say is lawful. And you see stuff like this in examples, and it shows what the women did. It says she gave a portion to her maidens, who were 9 times out of 10 sleeping with her husband. Those were his wives. So when we talk about sisterhood, we have to talk about sisterhood in its totality. We got to understand that there's a lot that comes with sisterhood. And when we say, well, you know what, I'm cool with this, I'm cool with that, sisters have to get rid of themselves, right? Because that's ultimately what it is. In sisterhood, you're getting rid of yourself and you're pouring in to all these women. Y'all pouring in to each other. And if y'all sowing wicked seeds and sowing discord amongst each other about certain things, that ain't sisterhood. Because anybody that come in and try to, try something, y'all against that person. And at that point, it's not sisterhood no more. It's offending people and keeping them away from the truth. Right? So let's get Sirach chapter 26 and verse 6, and I'll just end it there. Remember, sisterhood could be a positive thing if, sisters is checking their spirits on the daily and they're doing the things that the Most High commanded them to do, right? And ultimately, and I'll say you could think about the things that you will want in sisterhood, but I wrote the 5 things down that I think should go on, and I mentioned them earlier. Help your sister identify the gifts and purpose that, that you could bring out of her and that she could give to the nation, right? Make the work environment a positive place, having a positive vibe amongst the sisters and working in an environment that is safe, right? Having a women's roundtable to bring forth perspectives and ideas, uplifting the younger sisters and the elder sisters as well, uplifting one another, right? When you guys are going through things, you guys are lifting each other up constantly, checking on sisters, making sure they're doing their duties, making sure that they're on point with certain things, and just, coming together, right? And then number 5, dwelling in the laws that protect the sisters in this walk, right? And that's with everything, right? Read Sirach chapter 26 and verse 6.
Con. But a grief of heart and sorrow is a woman that is jealous over another woman.
Right. So who wants grief and who wants sorrow? Right? Nobody. Right? So wickedness in the woman shouldn't exist, and if it does, they need to be chipping away at it daily. Right? It shouldn't be a situation where a woman is jealous over another woman, right? Because they feel like they shouldn't be doing certain things that's lawful, right? Read.
And a scourge of the tongue which communicated with all.
Right, and being a backbiter, right, and speaking against your sister. So that's all I got. All I got to say is I encourage the sisters to do better. I could speak for True Nation. I've been here for quite a while. And I'll say, our sisterhood has gotten better, and I believe that they're on their way to greatness, and I see a lot of positive things within them, and I just see success in their future, and I see them being that Proverbs 31, as long as they continue to chip away, at the BS, and not giving in to the vices of Satan, right? And, if there's any sisters that's watching and you're not part of, True Nation, here's a home. We welcome you, and I'll vouch for it. I think the sisterhood is mighty in here, and I'm just looking forward to great things with the sisters. You got anything?
Yeah, all that stuff that y'all can do, you guys, you can have fun with it too. Don't think that it's all command and chief and everything like that. Like you can have fun with the pillars of womanhood, righteous womanhood, and everything in between with that too. The scriptures already says you guys are a lively bunch. So utilize that in its positiveness. That's it.
So This has been another Bible Basic. I pray y'all enjoyed it. And till then, deuces. Shalom.